Tony and Mike Beets are the stars of the hit TV show Gold Rush. They are known for having crazy personalities and going on dangerous adventures in the world of gold digging. Fans of the show followed them as they tried to make it rich in the harsh desert, dealing with rough terrain and mining problems along the way. As if they were living the American dream, their lives were like an exciting, daring movie plot. Because they were ready to take risks and work hard, they built their business and their name. When the terrible news came out, though, everything changed. Tony and Mike Beets were given life sentences in jail. This twist, which was both shocking and terrible, caught everyone off guard. In real life, the Beets family was suddenly at the center of a crisis. On TV, they were almost always linked to gold mining. What's wrong? And how did these two men, who were once praised for their determination, get themselves into this terrible mess? Many people found it hard to believe that fans who had cheered for them on TV were now questioning everything they thought they knew about the Beets family. The sudden turn of events left, leaving a trail of doubt, confusion, and most of all, interest. The news came after a very heated court case. A chain of events that were found during the investigation painted a much darker picture than anyone had thought. Information about the case was carefully kept secret, which made the whole thing even more mysterious. Join us as we learn more about Tony and Mike's trip. What they did to get into this situation, whether they were breaking the law, or whether there was a more complicated chain of events that brought them down. Tony Beets was born in the Netherlands in 1959 in the small town of Wijdenis. In 1980, when he was 21, he took a chance and moved to Canada. He only had hope and a few dollars with him. To make things meet, he first lived in Alberta and got a job on a dairy farm. Tony was used to working hard, even though life was hard. But it didn't take him long to figure out that farming, while honest work, wasn't going to make him much money. He changed his attention to mining because he was interested in stories of wealth and had a strong work ethic. A lot of people would have given up in the Klondike region of Yukon Territory because of its harsh temperature and remote wilderness, but Tony didn't. He didn't see problems, just chances. Tony Beets did more than just dig for gold in the Yukon. He made a name for himself. He rose to fame in the world of gold digging in spite of the rough terrain and harsh weather. With determination and hard work, he not only struck gold, but he also found his true calling. It wasn't just a job to mine. He lived his life around it, and it made him one of the most famous and well-known people in the business. Tony Beets did well in more places than just the Yukon. From the ground up, he built a huge gold mine business. Tony started out with almost nothing and built a small mining business into a family business that became one of the most famous in the Klondike. Before Tony started working in the field, his wife Minnie Beets was very important. She kept the business side of things running smoothly by keeping the books and handling money. The Beets children, Kelvin, Monica, and Mike, did what their dad did as the business grew. Instead of going after other jobs, they joined the family business and learned how to run huge, multi-million-dollar pieces of equipment. They learned the trade the hard way by doing it themselves, often in bad weather and other harsh situations, with Tony's help. Tony quickly became known for his extensive knowledge of mines and unwavering commitment to work, as well as his straightforward approach and larger-than-life personality. His unusual ways of doing things, short temper, and famously bad language made him stand out from other workers. He was known for barking orders and pushing his team, which included his family, to their limits. "Shut the up and keep mining" became one of his famous phrases. People who watched the hit reality show Gold Rush really liked how honest Tony was, and he became a hit. People admired how he wouldn't sugarcoat the truth and how determined he was to win despite all the odds. Tony Beets was already a pro when he joined Gold Rush in Season 2. With decades of skill, he was already a miner. Tony was more skilled than most of the other workers because he had been in the business for a long time. Many of Tony's competitors had a hard time finding gold in the harsh Klondike, but his business always did better than the others, bringing in huge amounts of gold year after year. Because he was experienced and planned his digging, he did well where others failed. With the 5th season, Tony made a big move that made him one of the most driven miners in the Klondike. He paid a huge $1 million for the famous dredge at Eureka Creek. Many people who didn't like the idea thought it would fail because it was such a big risk. But Tony saw opportunity where other people saw danger. He spent a lot of time and money fixing up the famous dredge, which was a huge, old piece of mining equipment. Tony made it profitable despite all odds, showing his doubters wrong and making the dredge a successful business that helped him build his empire. As the gold rush grew, it became clear to the makers that Tony Beets and his family were a big part of why people liked the show. Two main things that made the show popular were the drama in the Beets family and Tony's larger-than-life attitude. People often called the Beets family the Vikings of the Klondike. They brought a special energy to the show, and fans found their stories to be some of the most interesting. It wasn't just about gold. It was about how strong the Beets family was, how their relationships were always changing, and how they never gave up on their goal of success. Tony found something even more important in the Yukon wilderness than gold, a way to show how honest and determined he was. His journey showed that even the most odd ideas could become successful businesses with hard work, smart risk-taking, and a bit of grit. There was no promise of success in the Klondike, but for Tony Beets, it was the reward for years of hard work and determination. The Beets family built a mining business over the years, and people watched as it grew on TV. As people watched, they saw the family's control over the gold mine business grow as they staked more claims and expanded their operations. At the center of this rise was Tony Beets, a seasoned miner who was known for being a tough leader in both the field and on screen. His son, Mike Beets, worked right next to him. Mike was involved in mining from a very young age and became his father's valued right-hand man over time. He learned every part of the business, from how to run heavy equipment to how to organize the details of a crew. He had a strong work ethic and was naturally a leader. It looked like Mike would eventually take over the family business, Paradise Hill, carrying on the work that Tony had started. But there was some strain in their relationship as father and son. Even though they were close, the stresses of the mining business often put it to the test. There were often heated fights and shouting matches, especially when mining conditions were bad. Even though they had disagreements, they respected each other, and Tony slowly gave Mike more responsibility, preparing him to take over the Beets mining business in the future. But things got darker behind the scenes. In 2019, federal detectives started looking into the Beets family business after complaints about environmental violations, especially violations involving improper disposal of wastewater. Normal checks quickly turned into a bigger study from what it started as. Authorities are said to have found problems with the company's records, such as strange inconsistencies in how gold output was reported. There were rumors that when Tony's family passed the power from Tony to Mike, more than just mining information was swapped hands. Investigators said that illegal activities may have been a part of the business for decades, linking illegal activities with mining operations that were otherwise legal. It became clear as the probe went on that the family's rise to power in the mining industry may have been accompanied by illegal activities that had become deeply ingrained in the day-to-day running of the business over many years. The legal and criminal issues surrounding the Beets company added a dark tone to the story, casting a shadow over what at first glance seemed like a simple tale of family success in the mining business. Court papers say that the investigation into the Beets family's mining business got a lot worse when former employees came forward with shocking claims about illegal mining practices and large-scale tax evasion. John Reeves, a mine inspector, gave one of the most important testimony. He said that environmental samples taken from the tailings ponds on the Beets claims contained dangerous chemicals like mercury and cyanide. These chemicals are not allowed at all in modern gold mining because they are very bad for health and the environment. For example, they can pollute groundwater and hurt ecosystems for a long time. According to what Reeves said, these chemicals were used on purpose to increase the amount of gold that was recovered, especially early in the morning when TV teams weren't there. Prosecutors said that these illegal activities were hidden on purpose to keep up a good public image and make as much money as possible. Engineer Brian Anderson, who had worked for the Beets family for 8 seasons as a mechanic, gave the most damning proof. Anderson helped the police and gave them video from a hidden camera that showed Tony and Mike Beets talking with buyers from Venezuela about gold deals that they never told the tax authorities about. According to the authorities, this video showed that there was a well-run money laundering operation. To avoid taxes and foreign scrutiny, the plan called for selling gold without telling anyone about it. The prosecution brought in financial experts who said that between 2012 and 2012, when the Beets family was at the height of their fame on the Discovery Channel's gold rush, more than $15 million in gold sales were not recorded. A second set of financial records that were hidden in Tony Beets' office was found after more research. Reports say that these papers showed the real numbers for gold recovery, which were much higher than what was shown on TV or told the tax officials. Peter Lewis, a former crew member, testified that a lot of what people saw on Gold Rush was a highly edited version of a much bigger, more secretive operation. This makes the claims more likely to be true. Tony often told his team, "What happens after the cameras leave stays between us," which Lewis thought meant that he was trying to hide some things from the film crew and the government. In a public court case, the Beets family's lawyers, led by famous defense lawyer Samantha Wright, fought hard against major charges of environmental crimes, tax evasion, and selling gold without a license. Wright said that the prosecution's witnesses were likely angry ex-employees with personal grudges, implying that their statements were based more on anger than on truth. Wright fought hard to protect Tony Beets' image, saying that he was a hard-working but honest businessman who had built a mining empire through years of hard work and not by breaking the law. Wright told the court that this man had spent his whole life building a business. She made it clear that the public had been watching the Beets family for more than 10 years because they were famous from their roles on the TV show Gold Rush. Wright said that these people are TV stars, not crime masterminds. Why would someone do something wrong when there are national cameras rolling? On the other hand, authorities painted a very different picture. That the Beets fame wasn't something that would stop people, but rather something that could help them, like a smoke mask. It is said that the family took attention away from a much bigger and more secret mining business by showing a controlled and polished version of their operations on TV. Prosecutors said that while people watched staged mining as entertainment, the real business was making millions of dollars in hidden profits and damaging the environment in a way that could not be fixed. After hearing from over a dozen people for 6 weeks, it only took the jury 3 days to come to a decision. All of them are guilty. The charges included planning to cheat on taxes, damaging the environment, and running a gold trade network without a license. When Judge Rebecca Holloway gave the sentences, it was clear that she would not be gentle with the people who were accused. She said that what they did was a huge breach of public trust and a direct threat to the Yukon's fragile ecosystem. According to what the experts said, the illegal use of chemicals like mercury and arsenic had already polluted the groundwater in a way that could last for generations. Tony Beets stayed stubborn when he was given the chance to speak in court. He said, "I built everything from nothing. No one can take away my rights, but they can take what I made." Mike Beets, his son, seemed more sensitive and calm. He told the judge that he had only done what his father told him to do. Judge Holloway said that was a convenient plea, but it didn't get him out of the case. The final decision shocked even people who follow the law a lot. Tony and Mike Beets are both going to jail for life. Legal experts said that this kind of sentence is very uncommon for financial crimes, but prosecutors were able to make the case that the environmental damage was so bad that it needed the harshest punishment available. After the dramatic guilty verdicts and life terms for Tony and Mike Beets, Judge Rebecca Holloway made a harsh closing statement. She said that going after gold is not worth polluting the water and land for hundreds of years. Her words resounded in the courtroom and beyond, showing how serious the case was for the environment and the law. People in both the mining industry and the entertainment industry were shocked when they heard about the sentence. The Beets family was well known because they were on the Discovery Channel show Gold Rush for a long time. The show showed the ups and downs of placer gold digging in the Yukon. When the beat went off the air, the show's credibility and the public image of the business were put under a lot of scrutiny. Because of this, the Discovery Channel quickly put out an official statement to distance itself from the problem. This news has shocked and saddened us very much. Discovery never knew of any illegal actions going on at the mines that were shown on Gold Rush. These claims are taken very seriously, and we are now re-examining how we do review in the future. Raw Television, the company that makes the show, also reacted by saying that the show would be changing in big ways right away. All episodes of the show that already have the Beets family would be taken down from streaming services, and new episodes would focus on the criminal case directly. The Gold Rush would not be cancelled, but production would be held to higher standards and there would be a greater focus on being open. The co-stars of the mining show were also shocked by the news. Tony Beets and Parker Schnabel played rivals and sometimes fought on screen. In a statement, Parker Schnabel said, "Tony was always intense and uncompromising, but I never suspected anything illegal. This changes how I'll view everything that happened during those seasons." When reporters talked to Rick Ness, another longtime miner and cast member, he was visibly shaken. "I'm speechless. Never saw this coming," he said. Despite the shocking verdict, Beets' lawyers moved quickly to file appeals, citing what they called many procedural errors during the trial, such as the fact that covert recordings were allowed and how expert testimony was handled. Legal experts said that because of the amount and strength of the evidence, it is unlikely that the appeal will be successful. As one expert put it, overturning such a comprehensive conviction is a legal uphill battle. In the meantime, Tony and Mike Beets were sent to different maximum security prisons to wait for the results of their appeals. The case is still being talked about in many different fields as an example of how expensive environmental crimes can be and how dangerous it can be to mix fame with business. Tony and Mike Beets were found guilty and given life sentences for a number of environmental and financial crimes related to their gold mining operation, but not all family members were found guilty. Minnie Beets, Tony's wife and longtime business partner, spoke out in support of her husband outside of court, saying, "We've been together for 40 years. I know this man. He built everything we have through hard work, not through crime." Tony's wife was not charged in the case and has remained by her husband's side. What really happened? The truth will come out. Kevin and Monica Beets, who were involved in the family's mining business and regularly appeared on Gold Rush, kept quiet during the trial. Unlike the other people involved, neither of them was charged, and both were seen in court. Later, prosecutors confirmed that Kevin and Monica helped investigators in exchange for immunity, but they did not say how much they knew about the illegal activities or how involved they were. There are effects on other people from the Beets family's downfall. The Canadian government took over the Paradise Hill mining operation, which was once worth millions of dollars and was a landmark in the Gold Rush series. Cleanup efforts are already underway, and early reports say they will cost over $20 million and take decades to finish. One of the most important things that was taken away after the scandal was Tony Beets' restored dredge, a huge piece of mining equipment that had been the show's main attraction. Tests showed that it was contaminated with mercury, which made it dangerous. A machine that was once seen as a monument to Klondike mining history is now seen as toxic waste. People in Dawson City have had a range of reactions. Some agree that the Beets family's fame on TV brought international attention and tourists to the area, but others say that the signs of their dangerous behavior had been there for years. "He always did things his own way," said James Wilson, a longtime Klondike miner. But no one thought that meant breaking the law on this level. The case is a turning point for the reality TV industry that has never been seen before. Reality TV has had its share of problems, from cheating behind the scenes to scandals that happen off-screen, but never before have main characters in a hit show been charged with a crime of this magnitude. Media analysts say that going forward, networks will have to have stricter oversight and screening processes for reality shows. Discovery Channel and Raw Television, the company that makes Gold Rush, have already announced big changes to how the show is made and aired. Now that Tony and Mike Beets are in jail, many questions still need to be answered. Even though Tony and Mike Beets' criminal trial is over, the legal case is far from over. What will happen to the family's remaining mining claims and equipment? Will the rest of the family go back to mining? Or has the Beets legacy come to an end? And finally, How did one of the most famous families in gold mining go from being on TV to being convicted of crimes? As of now, prosecutors say that a separate civil case is being held to decide what will happen to the Beets family's remaining assets. This phase will focus on the financial and environmental effects of the family's years-long mining operation. Legal experts say that a lot of the Beets assets, such as mining equipment, real estate, and residual profits from their TV appearances, will probably be seized and sold. The money from the sale will likely help pay for the $20 million needed to clean up the Paradise Hill site and other affected areas. The cleanup could take decades, since toxic chemicals like mercury and cyanide are found in the soil and water. The criminal convictions are a huge blow to one of Discovery Channel's most successful and well-known franchises. Gold Rush, which has been on since 2010, has consistently been one of the network's most popular reality shows. The Beets family was a big part of its appeal, as was Tony Beets' larger-than-life personality, no-nonsense attitude, and unusual mining style. In the wake of the scandal, Discovery has said it will continue Gold Rush, but will focus on the remaining mining crews, such as Parker Schnabel and Rick Ness. But people who work in the entertainment business aren't sure if the show will be able to continue without the Beets family. The Beets created drama, tension, and a story that spans generations. They were controversial, but they were also great at getting viewers. One TV analyst said, "Without them, Gold Rush will need to reinvent itself or risk losing its core audience." The show's production company, Raw Television, has promised to be more open and follow the rules going forward. According to reports, future episodes will include behind-the-scenes details and talk about the effects of the Beets case, both on-screen and in real life. As the civil trial approaches and Paradise Hill is cleaned up for good, the future of the Beets legacy and the franchise that helped make them famous is still unknown. As the courtroom came to a close and the verdict hit home, familiar faces from the Gold Rush came out with heavy hearts. One of them was Chris Dummett, the beloved carpenter who had become a gold room operator and had worked with many mining teams over the years, earning respect for his quiet dedication and skill. Many people in the Gold Rush community were feeling sad, and Dummett shared that feeling. "Today is a sad day for everyone. Nobody wins here. The land has been damaged. Lives have been destroyed. And a shadow has been cast over an industry full of honest, hard-working people who do things the right way." In the courtroom, the last few minutes of the Beets trial were a strange mix of drama and resignation. As the police approached Tony and Mike Beets to arrest them, the mood was tense and quiet. Cameras clicked quickly, capturing what felt like the end of a dynasty. Just before being let out, the elder Beets, who was once the legendary Viking of the Klondike, broke his silence. "The Viking has fallen." He turned to face the reporters, former crew members, and longtime viewers in the packed courtroom and said, "The Viking has fallen." With those words, he was led away from the empire he had worked so hard to build, his dredges, his claim, and the legacy he used to be proud to show millions of people. For Gold Rush fans, that moment was a turning point. Scenes that used to be about hard work and victory, family meals at camp, roaring machinery, and golden cleanouts, have now taken on a darker and more unsettling tone. Episodes that used to celebrate success now feel like they are tainted with lies, damage to the environment, and betrayal. While the Beets family is in jail, loyal viewers are left to wonder how much of what they saw on TV was based on reality and how much was carefully hidden behind the camera. Environmental groups have started using clips from the Gold Rush and evidence from the Beets trial to teach people why strong mining laws are important. These materials are meant to show what can go wrong when rules aren't followed. The case has also brought up tough questions about reality TV. Some people are wondering if TV producers should be more accountable for making sure that what they film and profit from is legal and moral. As a result, many TV executives are now calling for new rules to be put in place across the industry. They want clear steps to be taken to make sure that companies shown on TV are following the law, especially in mining. Tony's other children, Kelvin and Monica Beets, worked with the family on Gold Rush a lot, but they were not charged because there was no proof they made any illegal decisions. In a joint statement, they said they were shocked by how serious the violations were. They also asked for privacy while they figure out what to do next in their personal and professional lives. The conviction of Beets is still having an impact on the Yukon mining season, which starts without two of its most famous figures. Officials in the area have said that all mining operations will be inspected more often from now on. In response, Discovery Channel has made the rules for any mining shown on its shows stricter, including regular checks of the environment. A new documentary is also being planned to look into how the illegal activities went unnoticed for so long, even while they were being filmed. Reality TV has changed forever because of this case. It's no longer true that fame can keep someone from getting in trouble. Tony Beets, who used to call himself the King of the Klondike, is now facing life in prison, away from his gold claims and the TV spotlight. The mining empire he spent years building is gone. Wiped out by the justice he thought he could avoid.